Please nod if you can hear the theme song music. This Wave Your Grades theme song is for American students. Please listen. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic when I tell you it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing. I'm saying, we know that you are great, and you know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform before, during, and after Desert Storm always perform above the norm everywhere and anywhere on the planet. Your schools should follow their lead, but you cannot follow if you cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious. I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. No excuses. All we got to do is just make up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you. Warriors protect you too. Do what you must to rise. So please do your part and please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please. That is the Wave Your Grades theme song. Thank you very much, Pastor Lee. And we are on KUAW.org, emanating from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center in Kansas City, Missouri. We have as our producer, engineer, founder, originator of KUAW.org, Louis George Walker, who helps us to understand that KUAW stands for knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. We are thanking Brother Walker every week for allowing us to be on KUAW.org with Wave Your Grades. My name is Carl Boyd. You will see on my cap, proud military advocate. The reason I point this out is because sometimes when I wear it, someone is thanking me for my service. I must make the proper disclaimer. I am a civilian. My oldest brother was a Marine, next to him an airman, next to him a soldier, and they were responsible for my being the first in my family to graduate from college. I owe them a debt of gratitude. But in like manner, I believe that American students owe a debt of gratitude to those who make sacrifices and should strive for excellence. So there you have the foundation for the program. And after that very lengthy introduction, let me tell you that we are so pleased to have representatives from the Black Economic Union, most particularly Attorney Valencia Broadus, not only talks about financial literacy for young people where that is concerned, but sponsor and founder of the Smart Club, our regular first Saturday guest. And I think, Brother Walker, Sister Broadus, it's been a couple of Saturdays where we've been on second Saturdays instead of first Saturdays for extenuating circumstances. And before we get into all of that, I am absolutely not just proud to introduce Reverend the Pastor Antoine Lee, Sister Broadus, Brother Coleman, Brother Walker. I'm also thanking him for my having called him, what was it, half an hour ago, to ask if I could make an announcement, and he is so much more eloquent than I, kind enough to make himself available. So let's start with the covenant man, Pastor Antoine Lee, first guest on Wave Your Grades. Pastor Lee, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bless you, Dr. Boyd. I call you affectionately Dr. Boyd, one of my first mentors, dating me back to the original Generation Rap days. And Dr. Boyd, whom you guys do not know, is also the founder of an organization he started with young boys called Kappa Kuji Tagalia.
Wow.
And so I go back. I go back with Dr. Boyd a long time. And so I thank God that he has given us the longevity to have this moment. And I wish I was coming to the radio program with a lighter heart. But this afternoon, rather, my heart is heavy as we are experiencing a proliferation of violence that has not only swept our city, but has swept our nation. And I am always one who has to ask myself internally, what is my response? And so as I think about my relationship with our host here, Mr. Walker, you would know that he's been influential in always asking the question, what do we do about it, right? So I've carried that with me, and I'm asking that question today. What are we going to do about the violence in our city? And so there is a misnomer, misconception, a lie that persists in our city that men are afraid of commitment. And that's not true at all. Men are careful with commitment. Men don't commit as often because men know when they commit, then their word is their bond. And so they don't give their word often, but when they do give their word, they know that they are held to that accountability. And so as I think about what we can do to respond to the murders that seem to be happening almost on a daily basis in our city, I understand, because of my orientation, is that men have a great deal to do with the ability to reduce violence. And so I have began an initiative, and I've been having conversations with a multitude of organizations. And I'm happy to say that amongst those organizations is the YMCA, the Second Chance Organization, Total Man, KUAW Boyd Consulting, and a few others.
Yes, Brother Wainwright.
Brother Wainwright with Heaven Sent Ministries, the Concerned Clergy.
Yes.
We're all trying to address this issue with trying to hold men to accountability. What do you mean, Pastor Lee? And I'll be brief about holding men to accountability. Imagine, if you will, if we had men in our city that would take an oath, that would go up under the covenant to act as agents to reduce violence in our community. In other words, to say that I'm going to take a personal pledge to ensure that I am going to either find alternative ways to violence, or I'm going to be a peacemaker whenever given the opportunity. So Covenant Man is an initiative where we're going to gather as many men as we can in one building, and we're going to ask them in the end and provide supportive resources for them to become advocates of peace in our community. And so I want you to think about what it is that I'm saying, and I want to give you some information because you may be a part of an organization. You may know of another organization that we can connect with, that we can gather as many men as possible that's interested in reducing violence in our community. All right. So my email address is Antoine Lee at centralchristiankcmo.org. And let me spell it for you. It's ANTOINELEE at centralchristiankcmo.org. The last thing I'll say is as Dr. Boyd has, he's got too many gifts, and when I get to heaven, I'm gonna talk to God about
Come on.
how he distributes gifts to certain people, and he gave that beautiful rap song about our veterans and the sacrifice that they made. And see, military men know the power of an oath, right? And we are appealing to the hearts of men of honor, men of valor, men of respect. I don't want to leave out that we also have partnered with the child support and the Division of Family Services, because we want men who are committed to reconnect with their families, to rebuild some broken bridges, to commit to helping us reduce violence in our community by taking a pledge and an oath that they're going to be change agents for peace.
Cannot thank you enough. And as a matter of fact, Reverend Lee, as we were meeting, one of the roles I suggested that I might be able to play is that role dealing with media, most specifically the medium of KUAW.org. So for all of our panel, for Brother Walker, we will see the Covenant Man as one of our co-sponsors weekly. And as programs and details grow, we will be asking Reverend Lee to come back frequently to talk about the growth of a Covenant Man. And we will be asking Antoine Lee at centralchristiankcmo.org to get contacts through us. And again, thank you so much. Let me ask our other panelists if there is something that you might want to say or ask of Reverend Lee while we have him with us.
Reverend Lee, good afternoon. This is Jim Coleman, and want to thank you and congratulate you for the work you're doing. Could you expound a little bit on what you were saying about the relationship with the Missouri Child Support, and is this through your church or is this through a separate organization?
Well, Brother Jim, thank you for asking that question. This is not a program. This is not an organization. This is a response. This is a cry out. This is a call to stop the violence. But everybody is working perhaps on trying to reduce the violence. I'm sure they are in their own silos in different ways. Well, there are a multitude of organizations that are working with men already. The problem is that they're working with men in different areas. Well, the ideal is we're all working with men. Let's all work together under one goal. And so the child support, the Division of Child Support Services, as we know, have a network of men that they're working with. And so these are the men that we want to become under covenant with. And we want them to become under covenant with our city to reduce violence. And they can do that in a multitude of ways. One of the ways that they can do it is they can reduce the tension between them and their child's mother. They can stop cursing in front of their children. There's so many different things that they can do. They can get help if they have a domestic violence relationship. And so the child support division has inside information on those types of situations, and they have access to the men who could probably benefit from other men holding them accountable to reducing violence. And so that's what this is about. As I stated before, this is not a program. This is not another organization. This is not another something, that we're trying to, this is just a cry out to say, men, let's come together and do our part to reduce violence in our neighborhood. And we know that in times past, whenever we were able to get a group of men together, a large group of men together to hold each other accountable, we know some very positive things can happen in our community. And one of the organizations that I want to mention that is sort of resurfacing for this very same reason, and you probably heard of them, and you probably heard that they're reigniting their effort, is Promise Keepers.
Okay. Yes.
And they're doing it specifically to respond to violence because they recognize that this is something that's going on across the country.
And Reverend Lee and Brother Coleman, let me suggest that on Wave Your Grades weekly, we can offer a running, quote, tally, unquote, if you will, of those who have added their names to the covenant.
Great.
And one more thing about the covenant, and I'll digress. Dr. Boyd has been asked to create the covenant statements and the covenant language. And that's what he's not telling you, but that's something that he has graciously accepted to do. And we could not have chosen a better person to do it, obviously, because of what God has endowed him with his ability to reach us through words and language. So I just want you guys to know that.
And let me just say to everyone that I am flattered is not the proper term. I am so appreciative of Reverend Lee and those he has allowed me to work with. I promise you that what God has given me is an acquaintance with young people like Antoine Lee and Valencia Broadus. That is my blessing. And I don't want to take it for granted, nor do I want to blow it up higher than it really is. I'm getting so much help. This is so good that it lends not only to what Attorney Broadus came to talk to us about, but also Reverend Lee points to your coming back to be with us as the program grows and progress is reported. So I thank you so very much. God bless you. Keep on keeping on.
Please don't leave us yet, Pastor Lee. I want to ask a question, especially since we have Mr. Verseelark. I know he's here listening to us. This is really pertinent for actually exactly what you're sharing. I have two questions. The first, I have a son who is going through some things. He's 30 some years old. And as he's going through some things, he and his ex, they have kids and all that stuff. So child support will come in, etc. And so as his mother, and then of course grandparent of my grandkids, the big thing that I'm concerned about is that for my son and then other young men like him trying to do the right thing, see their kids, etc., as things get really tense, and then child support will come in, all these things will happen. It gets sometimes so complicated with the separating couples that it becomes too tense for them to co-parent. It gets to where my son won't do this, because I'll support him, but sometimes then the dads, they stop working, all sorts of stuff happens. So we get into these really bad financial situations that then not only that domestic violence piece, it's not just that, it's then we have these men who sometimes they can't come forward and help to be a peace, an advocate of peace or help be a change agent, because now they're in a different situation. And I said all that to say, what age group, is there an age group you're looking for of men to come forward? Because that's my first question, and then I'm going to ask a different one.
Well, the way it works is it's not necessarily specific to a particular age group. This is more about a mindset. This is more about appealing to the heart and the mind of a man to say, I'm not going to support violent activity, not my own violent activity, nor the violent activity of another, whether it be a friend or a foe. And I'm going to, if I see violence happening around me, I'm going to be there to reduce it and not to infuse it or participate in it. Specifically to your example, many of us, and just to be completely honest, many of us have friends, our boys, the guys we shoot basketball with, and we know that they engage in violence. We know that they tell us in conversations, yeah, I smacked my wife and I choked her yesterday. I mean, these are the type of things, that we know about. But a change agent, a covenant man, is saying, I'm going to hold my friend accountable and say to him, brother, I love you, but listen, you need to stop doing what you're doing or we can't be friends. And that's the kind of pressure and accountability that we have as men to hold each other to. Do I have time? Because I just want to talk about this one really quick example that Kevin Brown, which is my co-chair and he's been assisting me with this. He said he went to Gates Barbecue and Dr. Boy, you remember this. He went to Gates Barbecue and he was ordering food. And then there was a guy that dropped a $20 bill on the floor next to him. Well, the guy next to him put his foot on the $20 bill. And he noticed it and he said, brother, can you take your foot off my $20 bill? I just dropped that $20 bill. And the brother said, make me take it off. And so the guy said, no, you keep your foot right on it. And he went outside and popped his trunk and brought in an automatic weapon. And everybody saw it. And then there was another man in there that says, hey, brother, wait a minute. Can I just listen? If I gave you $40, would you leave? If I paid for your meal with the 20 that you dropped and then gave you an additional $20, would you leave? And the brother, he was able to de-escalate that situation, and the brother took the money and left. Now, that's the type of mentality of a covenant man. Somebody that can see a situation that's about to become very violent, but because they have a mind of peace and a heart to bring about change, they can come up with an alternative solution. And hopefully, all we need to do is set a date. The Scottish Rite Temple has given us the space. Total Man has given us the food and the funding. We're on to a great start, and we're going to be asking for supportive organizations and vendors that's going to help men with tactics and ways to become more an advocate for peace in a multitude of situations. I know that's a long answer to your question.
No,
but it's more of a mentality.
Yes,
it's more of an adoption of an understanding that you are a part of reducing violence with the power that you have.
Before Attorney Broadus's next question, let me remind those who are looking and listening at Wave Your Grades that we are coming to you from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. Today's program features Reverend Antoine Lee explaining the Covenant Man. Our guests are Attorney Valencia Broadus and Brother James Coleman from the Black Economic Union, Bercy Clark, and producing and engineering for us, the founder of KUAW, Louis George Walker. My name is Carl Boyd, your host, and Attorney Broadus has another question. And by the way, the reason, Reverend Lee, that this is so in order is because it is Sister Broadus's opportunity, and if she sees that it enhances her presentation, it is altogether appropriate. So don't feel reluctant to be complete with your responses. Back to Attorney
No, and
Broadus.
that's good. Yes, yes.
And I'm not going anywhere. I only thing I'll do is once my time is up is I'll turn my camera off. But I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here until I think it's 2:00, right? Is when we
No,
Yes, sir.
4 o'clock. I'm just playing. Excuse me. So the next piece is, I think, of kind of what we were going to speak about today, a little bit of there's this one transaction initiative, the financial empowerment that the largest Black bank in the United States is working on. And through the Black Economic Union, a part of what I assist with here is financial literacy, financial empowerment of people and families, so that we can help people not to just, think about money, find jobs, things like that, but to really work a little bit more on, shifting again that mindset for saving, investing, building their credit, doing things that, because the Bible says, men should lead. I mean, that there's a piece where how do we, not just for men, women, that mindset of helping more and more of whether younger men and others, to help them to get in position to feel more secure, to be able to provide more. Because again, often, sometimes we can't volunteer or come out and help, even if we have the mindsets that you need, because we just try to work, 2-3 jobs, etc. We're just trying, it's not my problem, even though we might feel it, but we're just trying to, we're in that, we're on the monkey bars, as Mr. Coleman used to always say. We're just kind of, doing stuff to happen. So that's where we've been focusing heavily the past couple of years on doing financial jeopardy competition with the younger people. I'm helping other people to, look at buying houses and getting credit. But again, shifting the mindset, not just to get it, but to make it something that we're really doing and passing on. And so we would love to, and Mr. Versio-Lark, and I know he's here with us. He's the person that's been helping us quite a bit on leading our financial empowerment team and summit over the past couple of years. I think I speak for the BEU and for him in saying, and of course he'll say more if he wants to. I want him just to listen in. We would love to find a way, the men of our BEU of the network, to be a part of what you're working on, because I work a lot with, Mr. Boyd knows, I work a lot with in the juvenile detention centers over the years. And so often those young men, we go in, we do career coaching, help them get into college and all this type of stuff. And a lot of it is they want that money, that fast money. And sometimes things happen too slow. So we're always working on slowing down the mindset and then showing them through jobs right now with stipends right now, so that they will at least be still to let us mold and guide them and develop them. And so there's just different things that we've been doing, but focusing again back on how do we help our men to be strong so that they can lead. And of course, that spiritual man as a part of biblical financing, stuff like that. So it's a long way of me responding to you, but I'm just thinking, how can that financial empowerment part, if you don't already have partners that are doing it, let us know how we can help at all.
Well, the low-hanging fruit is that we have not even began to open up conversations with vendors yet, but we certainly need vendors. And so here's what's going to happen. So the Black Economic Union could have a table set up at the breakfast on the peripheral of the inner core, we have the tables and the stage and all of that. And then we're going to encourage men to take advantage of support groups like yourself to help them be better covenant men. So that's the low-hanging fruit. That's the short answer. And all you have to do is just email me and let me know, hey, I'm interested. I'd like to be a vendor. I'd like to participate in any way that I can. Please give me more information. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is something that I know we can't solve on this particular program, but I think we need to be mindful and cognizant of how powerful imagery is for young men. And unfortunately, what's imaged as successful to our young men happens to be the facade, the fast money, right? So how do we change the mindset from fast money, rims, clothes, cars, and the pretty girl to the biblical understanding that says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children? And so we're competing against this worldly imagery of success that, quite frankly, doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens over the type of success that our men want to participate in happens over a long period of time. And so trying to get men to understand that is like you said, it's a shift in our thinking and a shift in our mindset. You know, one of the things that I was saying to a group not too long ago is sometimes we have to want more of what's right than what we want of what we want, right? And so we have to want legacy and wealth for our generational wealth more than we want $10,000 rings, you know, or whatever. And so, yeah, so I mean, you could be an agent of that. That opportunity is absolutely there. It's hard to be a covenant man when you don't have the fundamentals in place, you don't have the right perspectives in place, so forth and so on. But it's difficult to make bad decisions when you have more men trying to force you to make good decisions,
right,
than you have trying to help you make bad decisions. And that's what we want.
That is the voice of Reverend Antoine Lee. And Reverend Lee, Valencia Broadus, and Jim Coleman, and I'm sure Brother Bercy will agree that God works in obvious ways. This is not mysterious. It is just providential that Reverend Antoine Lee is talking about generational wealth. When back to Curtis McClendon, the idea behind a Black economic union is to assure the perpetuation of self-determination by Black men. And up pops Pastor Antoine Lee on the same day that we are asking Attorney Broadus and Brother Coleman to talk about that very thing. God has put it in imminent context. Cannot be more impressed with you, the three of you as our guests, and do want to offer an opportunity for Bercy to speak to us if that is desired, and of course, Brother Walker to jump in. But my Lord, cannot thank you enough for how pertinent, how relevant this conversation is. If not, Bercy, I want to give it back to Attorney Broadus as we talk about your ideas for today's program.
Oh, no, excellent, and thank you. I'm going to do a quick share, if you'll let me. Well, let me share. Okay, so Mr. Walker, can you allow me to share? And while he's doing that, one of the things that we're working on is a financial empowerment summit. It's going to be on Saturday of September the 4th. And the reason that's important, but the bigger piece is that the financial, thank you, sir, the Financial Empowerment Summit, we're taking that piece where we're taking that, okay, we're taking the piece where Wayne United Bank, the largest Black bank, they've started this piece called One Transaction. And disable screen sharing. Let's see. It won't let me do it. I don't think. That's okay. So basically, Wayne United Bank, they said to the country, hey, oh, thank you. They said, hey, country and Black America, because the racial wealth gap is so huge that they said if we all can just do one transaction, it plus one transaction for sure. We're doing one transaction plus. If we can just do one transaction, each of us do something within these six and other options, that we can definitely begin to really close that racial wealth gap. Because that, as we all know, that racial wealth gap, it just makes it more difficult, whether it's in our houses, neighborhoods, communities, schools. The less dollars we have, the love of money, but we have to have dollars to, make things happen. We're able to be a little more secure, and which again reduces stress, lets people be a little more just financially comfortable, relationships, all that type of stuff. So the biggest piece is the summit we're going to do on the 4th. Basically, we're going to have, again, vendors and persons that will be able to address these six pieces. Having a will, I do estate planning, stuff like that. So we'll have some of that. Insurance, home ownership, owning a business, savings and investments, and improving your credit. We'll have people doing these different things. Mr. Versey Lark, he's done this before in Wichita about a year and a half ago. And so we're kind of mimicking a summit he did already, and he's going to come back, and he leads us a lot in helping us all to, do things we already know, but we just maybe don't have accountability circles to do them.
Her laptop may have died for just a minute, or it
Yeah,
may
I
have,
thought I
or
heard.
it may have fallen. While she's coming back on, I'll just add that the September 4th event, as she was saying, will be we will be on 18th and Vine, and we're wrapping up the exact location now. It will start in the morning around 9 o'clock, and it'll end around noontime, and it will allow individuals and families to again first listen to Mr. Versey Lark. He'll kick things off, and then there will be tables or stations where that they can get information on how to improve their credit, how to pay off debt, how to begin to get retirement, various things to improve their situation, their personal situation, uh, financially. And just for Mr. Boyd, just for your audience, and you have done this before, but it's always important for us to understand that even though we've got Mr. Lark on, Mr. Versey Lark on, he's listening because he's enjoying his daughter's birthday on the West Coast, so he may
Oh,
be around a noisy area. But we're blessed to have Mr. Lark, Mr. Versey Lark, with us as a partner and sponsor. Not only is he the author of Make It Rain, which is a book for anyone, not just Black people, but anyone who wants to improve their personal financial situation. But he's a young man in his mid 50s, an engineer by training. He is past CFO, past CEO of a DST, which people who are familiar with Kansas City and downtown Kansas City know as a major corporation. He retired early from corporate America, and is now is doing a great job of committing time and his family's time to just helping people, and he wants to focus on the Black community where possible, to really help us as at an individual level to really get our financial house in order and be able to grow that net worth. As Valencia has been talking about the One United Bank, on one of their web pages, they note that The New York Times recently said that the average net worth of a white family is about 180,000, and the average net worth for a black family is 18,000. And so we've got to do some things to change this. Ms. Broadus is now back. So rather than me filling in, I'll turn it back over to her.
It's greatly appreciated. And Sister Broadus, he talked about September 4th, of course, and then some significant background information. Please continue.
Mr. Versey. Actually, Mr. Versey, he unmuted for a second there. We would love for you to talk with us, if you will, please, sir.
Yeah, I apologize. I have been trying to find a quiet place. I can't, so I'm going to be very quick.
He's on vacation, y'all, so we're excited that he's joining us.
Yeah, and so people are coming in and out of this area, and unfortunately they're talking. So I'll be very quick, very brief. So yeah, I appreciate, and Jim, thanks for doing that introduction. I knew you know more about me than I know about myself, so very awesome. Yeah, and so for me, there's a phrase actually I heard recently, and it really gets to what the covenant's about, and that is typically it's this: environment almost always outpowers will. And so what we have in our community is, he mentioned it, the fast cars, the bling, I call it, the things you see that we think are symbols of wealth and prosperity and what's the right word, that we have arrived. And those images are put in front of us for only one reason: to keep us consumers and to keep us in a situation where the majority of the folks in our community are always looking for something else, someone else to help us out. And so those images create that environment that gets perpetuated by the situations in our communities. And ultimately that typically overpowers, especially young men who are simply trying to find their way, their will to do the right thing. And so I absolutely agree. The more we can put people in front of young men, and in some cases, you call them young men, some are in their 20s and early 30s, and they're still trying to find their way. The more we can put people in front of them that can show them different ways to think about how to deal with situations that many people face and don't end up with the same outcomes, I think the more that change will occur. And it's like a ripple. It's generational. It's not like we're going to have something change overnight, but the more we plant those seeds, just like anything, will be better. So from a financial perspective, I've been focused on four things: housing, actually from a life perspective, housing, education, I call it life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and prosperity. And my view is, if we can help people in their housing and make them secure from a housing and health perspective, and we can educate them and provide different tools that they can use when they're in certain situations, whether that be through formal education, informal education, or experiences that we can share, the more opportunity they're going to have that L, which is pursue the life, live with liberty and justice, things that they want to do. I call it be all you can be, if you know a phrase from the old Army days, right? And then underpinning that is, without prosperity, it's very, very difficult to do the top three. And so I've been focused on prosperity from an individual perspective. And Jim, I appreciate you mentioning my book, Make It Rain. And that's what that's focused on. And then the other thing I've been doing in my time is investing in small businesses. And now, quite frankly, just recently launched a new fund. And it's a venture capital fund where we're really targeting Black, Hispanic, women, and other minorities to invest in technology business, because that's my background. We just recently launched that fund. We're raising the money for that fund. And I'm happy to say, you guys didn't know this, but we've raised about $3.5 million of the $10 million that we're looking to deploy. And it's going to be specifically targeted at communities that has simply been left out of venture funding and angel investing kind of thing. So at the end of the day, that foundation with the knowledge about financial literacy, I call it literacy, and the money, we still want people to do the right thing. So there's got to be some faith-based things in there. There's got to be some practical education things in there. And then we want to overcome the environment through our will, because if our will is stronger than the environment that they are in, then we can influence better outcomes for them. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing and look forward to obviously supporting the Covenant organization and also supporting the continued efforts that we're doing around the BEU. So people are talking now, so I'm going to go on mute.
Before you have to jump off, we have to thank you so very, very much for joining us. Happy birthday to the appropriate person. I suspect that that acronym HELP is indeed the aim there, and it helps us to remember the housing, the education, the life, liberty, and pursuit and prosperity. Brother Versey, we just thank you so much. Let me say that as we get ready to wind up, Brother Antoine Lee, you and I could not have planned a production better than the appropriateness of these words from these very special guests this afternoon. So I'm going to ask, in as much as Versey has been so gracious, that we start our closing remarks, and then Brother Lee, so that Sister Broadus and Brother Coleman can appropriately close us out. And as usual, Brother Walker, anytime you want to jump in, please do. Here is Versey Lark once again.
Yeah, thank you all for this opportunity. For me, the simple solution to a lot of our problems is it starts with accountability and changing our mindset. I was very fortunate when I was younger that someone shared a book with me, and that book changed my mindset to really be more accountable for the things that I could influence and disregard a lot of things I could not. And if we all leave with that with a different mindset today, and we start to affect people with that same way, then God bless us, we will be in a much better state 10 years, 20, 30 down the road. That's what I'm all about, and I'm glad to be here and glad to support you all.
Praise God. God bless you. Brother Antoine Lee.
Yes, I think all of us, with the multitude of issues that we're confronted with, especially in the African-American community, it's easy to give up, because every time we talk about a solution or a strategy for one thing, we have so many other issues that we're confronted with. Well, it depends on what you choose to do. I mean, you can choose to be pessimistic, and if that's the case, you need to go in your closet, hover over in the ball, and just, wait for the world to end. I choose to be optimistic. I choose to believe that we have within our community, within our means, to solve a lot of the issues that we're confronted with. And I think that there's more positivity that's going on than obviously the media is reporting. And I think we need to celebrate the wins in our community. And there are some folks in our family that have demonstrated financial fortitude and have demonstrated that they know how to raise it. There are men that know how to raise a family. There are people in our family that know how to navigate corporate America. There are people in our families that are religious, that have walked through the aisles of Christendom and whatever other faith. And I think what we need to do is continue on the path, don't lose hope, keep our hand to the plow, and don't grow weary in well doing. And so that's all I'm gonna leave you with. And I pray that God will continue to keep you and encourage you in whatever He has purposed you to do to move His kingdom forward.
Praise God. Thank you so very, very, very much. I want to go to Brother Jim Coleman before Attorney Broadus takes us out. Brother Coleman. Oh, what is
again, and I'll also be very brief. Again, we that.
Yes.
And as Pastor Lee has mentioned, one of the things we have to do is help our young men to realize that they don't need all the bling. They can get a small amount of the bling by having a job, and they can really get a job very quickly. In Kansas City, within 5 months, you can be a truck driver earning $80,000. And so at BEU, we want to help people. And even if you've got a record, you can still do that. So that's one of the other things that we're doing. Is trying to help people with that. And with that, I will turn it over to Valencia Broadus.
Thank you.
I just want to say I'm going to be telling my son about the covenant. He is a man of God, and I know that he will want to participate with all you men. He needs that. They all do. And in regards to the BEU, our events. Mr. Versie, thank you. Mr. Coleman, thank you. Pastor Lee, it's really nice to meet you. And I know that you men will do lots of other stuff together, and we'll support whatever y'all would need us to, to be doing with, with the covenant. There's good stuff happening. And Mr. Boyd, just want to share, of course, on August 14th, Mr. Boyd is going to be our host. And so we're going to be at an Arrowhead Stadium in the Press Box Lounge doing some awesome stuff. Mr. Boyd, I told you, you lead everything. It's pretty funny. So good. We've got different people, and Mr. McClinton, as you know, he's a Kappa too, so we got all these things going on, trying to make sure everything is fitting. But I just want to say really seriously, thank you for all of us continuing to talk and just to network and to hold each other accountable. We can make it better. And it's not that it's awful. It's just we can make it better, and we just got to find the time and have our foundational pieces in place so that we can do more of ourselves. So that's all I got.
Thank you so very, very much. We always have a saying to students across the USA, your Students for Boots message for this day, July 10th. When our military men and women meet America's serious students, the warriors motivate students to achieve. When our serious American students meet military personnel, the students motivate troops to believe. Thank you, warriors. Thank you, students. Thank you, our very special guests. My name is Carl Boyd for Wave Your Grades. Thank you, Brother Walker. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.